our economic system is designed to make one person rich. Do you want to know who that is? It is the investor. How do I know that? Well, let me show you. There are 3 rules of money that you need to understand. Rule number 1 is that money flows to the investor. Now, when I say money flows to the investor, what that means is when you spend money, the person that benefits is the investor, the owner of that business. So let me diagram this because there are 3 entities in our economic system. There are consumers, there's the business, and then there's the investors. Every single person, you, me, and everybody else is a consumer. Doesn't matter if you're rich or poor because everybody has to eat. Everybody needs a car, everybody needs clothes. So when you go to Chipotle and you buy the bowl, you are spending money at the business. If you buy the extra guac, the business makes more money, but the real person that benefits is not the worker in the business. I mean, yeah, you get a salary, but the excess dollars, the big bucks, go to the hands of the owners of the business. And when I say owners of the business, in this economic system, that means the investors in the business, the I class. So in the system, money is designed to flow to the investor. Rule number 2 is that inflation benefits the investor. When inflation happens, that means you have to walk into Chipotle and pay extra money for the guac and extra money for the bowl. So what does that mean? That means you as a consumer are going to spend more dollars into the hands of that business. Now, when this inflation happens, who is going to win? Well, what we've seen is that wages have gone up since 2020, the big inflation that we've seen over the last 5 years. But wages haven't gone up to keep up with inflation. So if businesses are charging this much more money, but employees are making this much more money, who is getting those excess dollars? Well, if you guessed the investor, you are right. Those excess dollars go into the hands of the investors' pockets because inflation benefits the investor. And by the way, inflation didn't start during 2020 pandemic. It has been happening for decades. So when inflation happens, it's the investors that get rich because the excess dollars go into the hands of the owners who are the investors. And rule number 3 is that our tax code is designed to benefit the investor. Now, I've already kind of hinted at this, but the tax code incentivizes you to become an investor because they reward you with lower taxes. Some people say it a different way. Some people say that the tax code punishes you for being an employee. But what I want you to understand is not that it's bad to be an employee. I've said that multiple times now. It is bad to just be a dumb, stupid employee that spends all their money. And that's whether you're an employee, a business owner, an athlete, an executive, I don't care. And I say this harshly because I want you to understand I don't make these videos to make friends. I make these videos to help you be better with money because the reality is if you make money and spend all of your money, you are making these people rich. But if you make money and use it smartly, then you can make yourself rich. Now you're gonna say, well, Jaspreet, what does that mean? Let me show you. Everybody in America needs to be a business owner, period. Now catch what I said carefully. I didn't say you need to start a business. I didn't say you need to operate a business. And I didn't say you needed to work in a business. You need to be a business owner. And the way you can be a business owner is either by building a business or by buying the business. Now, it is extremely hard to build a business. I love entrepreneurship. I love entrepreneurs. If that's what you want to do, great. But it's not for most people. Most people should not be in the business of trying to start a company or trying to run a company. It's just a lot of work, a lot of risk. Most businesses will fail. But every single person should own a business that you can buy. Now, you don't have to go out and buy an entire company. You can buy a piece of a company. If you're spending money at Amazon, you can buy a share of Amazon, one piece of Amazon. If you're spending money on Nike shoes, you can own a piece of the Nike corporation. If you're spending money at Apple, you can own a piece of the Apple company, because if you buy one share of those companies, you become one of the owners in those companies and you get to share in their profits. So when other people are spending money on Nike and Amazon and Apple, you are the one that's making money, because now you own a piece of the profits. A share is one piece of ownership in the company. The more shares you own, the bigger piece of ownership you own in the company. And before, you used to need hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to get started as an investor. Today, you can get started with $10, even $1. But you have to know how to allocate your money. And this is where you need a simple rule of thumb on how do you actually do that. And one of the simplest things that you can do is follow something like a 75-15-10 plan, which means now you're getting paid, and I don't care how you get paid, if it's from your job or your business, doesn't matter. You get paid and money hits your bank account. you only want to spend no more than 75 cents of every dollar that you earn. So you want to create an automatic withdrawal and deposit out of that bank account into 2 other bank accounts, which means, yes, you need 3 different bank accounts. And follow me when I say this, because you do want separate bank accounts. So 75 cents of every dollar that you earn stays here. 15 cents goes here into bank account number 2, which is holding your investing money. And then 10 cents of every dollar that you earn is going to go here into your account that's holding your savings money. Now what you're doing is you're playing the game like a wealthy person, because what every wealthy person does is they save and they invest their money before they spend all their money. What every broke person does is they make money and they spend their money, and then they save and invest if there's any money left over. And surprise, surprise, there's little to no money left over month after month after month. So every time you say, I'll wait until next month, I'll wait until next year, it never ends up happening. This is why you need to have a system. And the reason why I say create 3 different bank accounts is so number 1, you can automate the transfers into these different bank accounts. And so number 2, so you don't accidentally spend your investing money or your savings money. Do you know why the government takes your taxes out before you actually see that money? Like when you get your paycheck, you might have seen that your payroll taxes are taken out and your FICA taxes are taken out before you actually get that money. It's because the government knows that if that money hits your bank account, you're probably going to spend it. And then if you had to pay taxes at the end of the year, you would have no money to give to the government. And so they don't trust you. And you don't want to trust yourself with that same thing either, because when you have all your money sitting in one bank account, how do you know how much money is actually supposed to be invested or saved? And when you have all that money in one bank account, it's very easy to accidentally spend it when that sale happens on the new TV. So you want to create a wall between your spending money, your savings money, and your investing money. And then you want to automate it. That way you don't actually see the money here. It goes into these bank accounts before you have to worry about it. And if you're wondering, well, Jaspreet, how am I supposed to afford living off of 3/4 of every dollar that I earn? I want you to think of it like a tax. Because if the government were to raise your taxes by 25%, what would you do? You'd complain and cry and scream and kick and be really upset and angry, but then you'd find a way to pay it, because if you don't, you're going to go to jail. So think of this like a tax. But now you're not making the government richer, you're making yourself richer, because these investments are how you actually become wealthy. These savings are there to protect you against an emergency. I talked about this in the beginning part of this video, that savings are losing value to inflation. Well, that doesn't mean you shouldn't save any money. It means you have to save money strategically. Save money for an emergency. Save money for a big purchase like a house or a car. Save money for a vacation or a Rolex. Or save money to make an investment. So your savings are here. Your separate emergency savings are here. Your investment money is here. This is how you're going to become wealthy. This is what you spend on your car and your house. Now you're going to say, well, Jaspreet, where do I invest my money? And this is where people get caught up in the game of trying to find the perfect investment. Should I invest in stocks or real estate? If I invest in stocks, should I invest in Nvidia or Tesla or Amazon? Should I be investing in ETFs or mutual funds? Or should I be investing in index funds? And what is the cadence that I should buy? And people start to get really intimidated by this idea of investing, and then they get scared and they get turned off, and then they start making bad decisions because you start finding these get-rich-quick schemes. But the reality is, investing your money and building wealth is kind of like getting in shape. You can get caught up in the whole rabbit hole of, what should I eat? Should I go carnivore? Should I go vegan? Should I go into this paleo diet? Should I be doing high intensity workouts, low intensity workouts? Should I be doing weight training? Should I be doing cardio? At the end of the day, what you should be doing is just getting on the treadmill and putting down the donuts and ho-hos. Once you get on the treadmill, then maybe you pick up 10 pounds and you start doing something with it. Once you start doing that, maybe you say, what is the bench press? Once you start doing that, maybe you start to try different types of exercises, and now you start to get smarter and do more after you get started. It's the same thing with investing. The reason why so many people don't become wealthy isn't because they made a bad investment, it's because they don't start. Just get started and then start researching. If you enjoyed this clip and you want to continue your financial education journey, I have another video that I think you'll love. All you got to do is click that button right over there. And for those of you who want to stay up to date on the top finance and business news, you can join Market Briefs, my free financial newsletter, by clicking that button below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.